This original WSRE presentation is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
We talk sales, marketing, and business with author and professor Dr. Bob Kimball on this edition of Conversations. Dr. Bob Kimball is a longtime professor in the Department of Marketing and Economics at the University of West Florida. Additionally, he is an author and consultant specializing in sales and marketing. His book titles include Successful Selling in the New World of Business and The Essence of Marketing. Recently, Kimball developed Bob's Sales Camp, which is a program geared towards helping convicted felons change their lives. Kimball very much believes in the power of education. Since 2002, he has personally given $3 million to the University of West Florida. Kimball has a PhD in marketing from the University of Georgia and has worked with such brands as Coca-Cola, Lanier Business Products, and the Pabst Brewing Company. We welcome Dr. Bob Kimball to this edition of Conversations. Nice to have you on.
Good to be here.
I've been aware of you for a long time, so nice to finally meet you and talk business.
Yes,
one of my favorite things to talk about. How did you first get started in your business career?
Well, I'll tell you, I got out of college and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was a math major because I can run numbers and all this, and so I just started. Basically, my first real job was in marketing research at Coca-Cola Company. And I was running numbers all day, but the thing I discovered on it was everyone was generating all these numbers and no one was using any of them. So I was the first one to put it together in a package, take it out to the field to the bottlers, and present it to the bottlers and their managers and the people, and put together an action plan out of it. Right. And got that thing going, and the bottlers loved it. So I kept getting calls for them to come out and do these presentations on their research data, and that kind of built me into then going out and doing sales training in the field. Right. And so then I did my own business with doing the sales training. So I didn't know what I wanted to do when I got out of college, and no one does.
Right.
But there are certain things I like to do, and so I just started doing them.
What was it that made you successful in being able to turn those numbers into a story that people could relate to? What was the key?
I think the key was focus on the audience. That's really what selling is all about when you come right down to it, even though I wasn't in sales at the time. But I was looking at, in Fort Wayne, Indiana was the first place I went to, and I'm just kind of thinking, why does a bottler get this information? What kind of stuff do they want to get out of it? What do they want to do with it? Mm-hmm. And we weren't, until that time, really doing much of anything but handing them a bunch of papers. Right. We had a stack about 8 inches high of numbers. And so I kind of looked at it from the bottler's point of view and said, what can I do with these numbers that gets them a way to use it and put it out in the field? Right.
What's your recommendation to people in today's world as research comes in? Because boy, with computers, we've got all kinds of data coming in. What would you tell a business person as far as being able to take that data and break it down where people can put it into use?
Well, I think probably the very basic question is, what do I need to know to make a decision here? Mm-hmm. And know your market and know your customers, and then you just sort of start looking at it and kind of figure out, what have I got to do here? Right. You can't really have a pat answer right away. Right. It just kind of evolves.
Because we can certainly get overwhelmed with data.
Easily, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me, what was the transition over into academics, into becoming a professor?
After I was with Coca-Cola for 13 years, I went in and did my own sales and management training company, the Kimball organization. Actually, I started when I went to the PhD program at the University of Georgia. It was to enhance my credentials to build my business. Mm-hmm. But there, I was a graduate teaching assistant and had the opportunity to teach professional selling and marketing fundamentals. And really, my first full quarter doing that, I came to realize the audience I really wanted to do was students, because it's training. I do training in my classes, and I like getting with them and doing training with them.
Tell me about students today.
Well, I would say this. I think the top 20% are the best they ever were. I think the remaining 80% are distracted and amusing themselves a lot.
Amusing themselves.
Yeah, they're on that phone 160 times a day, and it's easy to get distracted.
Right. Well, oftentimes you hear people say, well, these kids today, but you say that top tier.
Oh, that top tier is the best they ever were.
Best.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've been teaching for what, 30 years?
30 years now, yes.
Wow, absolutely. What makes them so great, that top 20?
I think they're people who just will not let themselves get distracted. They set goals, they set standards, they have a plan, they manage their time, and they set priorities, and just make every day count for something.
They're focused.
Yes, they're focused, absolutely.
I've noticed that over the years. It just seems to me like the ones that are really, really good are really, really good.
Yeah, and they're the ones going to run the world.
Yeah.
And that's what it should be.
Yeah.
So the rest will be consumers. And we'll take their money.
There you go. There you go. What's your advice to that 80% who's looking at the 20 going, wow, I'm getting kicked around here. How do I get in the 20?
I don't think they know they're being kicked around. I think it may dawn on them at some point. That'll be fine. Yeah. I'm not going to worry about them.
Yeah. That's great. Well, let's talk about, sales is such a wonderful subject to talk about because, and people have all kinds of perceptions of salespeople, but without sales, the world does not go around. I don't care how great a widget you create.
You got it
if
right.
you can't sell it, doesn't matter, right?
You got it.
So tell me about your sales class. What's your sales class at the University of West Florida all about?
My sales class basically is to teach you the fundamental skills with the idea in mind being that by the time you get through this class, I can drop you out of an airplane in any city in the country and you'll be earning a living within 3 weeks. I think that the magic word in my sales course, and if you get nothing out of the course, you get this, is listen. Your job is not to talk. Your objective is to get the prospect to talk to you. Find out what they want, what they need, what they care about. Get them to expand on it. Repeat the statements back to them. And then show them how you can help them get those things they want and care about through your products, your services, and you personally.
Solving a problem.
Solving a problem or help them get to their goals. What are their dreams? Whatever they want to do.
I am so glad you said that about listening because a lot of people have the perception of a salesperson as a fast-talking, slick, leisure suit-wearing type.
They won't get very far.
And that's not the case, is it?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's the stereotype. That doesn't make it.
Yeah. And what makes a great listener? How do you train yourself to be a great listener?
You put the focus on the other person. Everything is about them. You focus on them. You are asking them questions on a regular basis. You're taking in their nonverbals and trying to see what messages are coming to you. Don't worry about what you're going to say next. Just try to say, what is this person saying to me? What is this person communicating to me?
Do you teach a lot of the nonverbal communication in your class?
I have a good segment on the nonverbal, but it's implicit through a lot of the other things we do.
Right. What are nonverbal cues we should look for?
I think eyes. Number one, eyes. The eyes are going to tell you an awful lot about the person. Are you losing their attention? Are you gaining their attention? That'll sort of tell you when you've made a point to the person. You'll see it in the eyes, and they'll also at the time they may make a bit of a gesture, sort of something like that. When they do something like that, you ought to pick up on it because clearly you made a point, and then you resonated on something with them.
Do you think one of the things that causes people to avoid the sales business is fear of rejection?
Oh, I would think so. But I make a very big point on that in my very first class in going into the idea of rejection and failure. Yeah. And the message I have them on day number one is, I want you to fail.
Why?
Because if you have never failed, you don't know what it takes to be successful. Yeah. And I talk about one student I knew who basically was bragging to me that of the last 20 women he'd asked out, that all 20 had accepted a date with him. And my response was, sir, you must be going with some real dogs. And there was another student who said that he'd had 3 job interviews and 3 job offers. And I said, very interesting. What job offer you take? He said, I'm a management trainee at Blockbuster. You got to shoot high. And when you get shot down, you learn something about how to approach it differently next time.
Right.
And so embrace rejection.
That's right. That's right. Sumner Redstone, who is pretty much built the company Viacom and CBS to great prominence, so to speak, had a book that he wrote, and he said something that I've never forgotten after reading that book was, great success is not built upon other success, it's built upon failures.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I look at some of the ways that I failed. I talk, okay, some of my books and all this. My first book, the AMA Handbook for Successful Selling, published by the American Marketing Association, was rejected by 108 publishers before it was accepted. My second book, basically the book on management, was rejected by 155 publishers.
What kept you going?
By figuring out what have I learned? What can I do next? What can I do a little different now?
Right.
Get out there and do something.
And I think that's the key, and I want you to talk a little bit about this. You talk about the rejection and you talk about the failure, but how does a person build their strength to have great resilience? What are the keys to being able to do that?
I think you have confidence in yourself and who you are and what your values are and what your purpose is. And when you have that, that's a foundation. And so nothing's going to bother you.
Yeah. How do you exercise that muscle? Or
you work on it every single day. You do something every single day. You look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and say, what did I do today to make myself a better person, mentally, spiritually, physically, and economically? Yeah. And you try to progress a little bit every day toward some objective, and sometimes you're not sure what the objective is, but you get out and you did something today. Right. You made yourself a little bit better today. You do something.
Baby steps will work.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think sometimes people completely overestimate what they can accomplish in a short period of time and underestimate what they can accomplish in a longer period of time?
Probably so.
Yeah.
Because the long-term accomplishment, you really don't necessarily know where you're going with it.
Right.
It just kind of evolves over time.
Yeah. When you were talking about being able to drop somebody out of an airplane and them get a job in in any city in the country, so to speak, because that they have built those sales skills, give me an example of some of those skills that they might be able to take with them right now.
Well, of course, the number one thing is focusing on the prospect and listening.
Right.
Then the idea beyond that is properly networking.
Right.
And networking is not something you do by going out to the happy hour and passing out business cards like you're in West Texas dealing poker. No, that's not what you do. You find some organizations that the prospects you want to meet are around. Become a part of that organization. Take an active role in that organization. Be a speaker. Mm-hmm. They're looking for speakers all the time. Right. They've got special projects. Take a role in a special project. Get on their e-board. When you get on the e-board with a prospect that you think is interesting, tell them about the magic words, I need help on a project you're working on. Get them talking about themselves. Dale Carnegie brought that up in 1936. People love to talk about themselves. Yeah. Get that prospect talking about themselves and what made themselves successful in business. And what do they look for in an ideal prospect? And then you send them a referral with your name on it. Now, when you've gone out and you've sent someone a referral, a qualified referral with your name on it, now they're ready to talk to you as a potential customer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because they feel like they owe you something back.
No, they're not that they owe.
No?
We're just, it's not owe. It's not owe. It's just a question of, I gave you value. I'm a person that gives value.
Right.
And they think that you're the kind of person they might like to do business with.
Yeah. Interesting. Anything else you'd recommend?
I think that certainly the skills we get into in my class is the actual presentation itself. No, you're not doing a bunch of talking. It's the 10 steps of the sales presentation are all questions. It's an organized system of questions. Get the prospect talking and discover the truth for themselves and find a way to uncover an unmet need or dissatisfaction. Because if they don't have an unmet need or dissatisfaction, you're not going anywhere. But get them to talk about it and then elaborate on it and all that. And then paraphrase the thing back to them by saying, and very, very casually, let me make sure I understand this. From what you're telling me, you seem to be saying that you need this, this, and this. Now you notice how when I raise the inflection of my voice, I turn that into a question. Mm-hmm. And they kind of nod. That gives me permission to go to the presentation. Now I can start talking about, hey, I think we've got something here that might be of interest to you. And then I will talk about some features of my products and services and what those benefits of that are to the prospect and how it can help them attain the things they want and care about.
You started something called Bob's Sales Camp. Mm-hmm. And a little non-traditional as some of the folks you're approaching. Tell me more about that.
Well, It has started off around here in the Escambia County jail system through Pathways for Change for some of the people who really have got a chance in life and can make something of themselves. And I've done that 2-day sales camp for them. Have done one already, doing another one in another 5 weeks. We're expanding that whole concept through the Logistics Center under Scott Keller at the university. We're taking that sales camp into the schools in the community here for a lot of kids that need skills and may not go to college. Scott Keller and his people, Katrina Savitsky, who's our new faculty member coming in, will have a logistics program as well, and we're doing it there. And I'm very confident we're also going to bring a logistics training program into the Escambia County jail system. And I do as well. I'm doing one tomorrow and the next day in the private sector for student scholarships at the University of West Florida. So it's built over time, and that's what tends to happen. This is part of getting referrals in business. You do something that's of value.
Right.
You give someone a contribution, people find out about it, and it builds. It goes from there.
When you went and taught the prisoners some of these skills, what kind of response did you get?
Well, the first thing I had to do is sell them on myself. That was very clearly what I had to do. So I can't come across to them as some professor that's living in an academic elite or something like that. And I had a very special point of how I opened up the program of just very casually introducing myself and then going in and just doing a little routine among them, and then moving them straight into a role play. Action. We were doing stuff. And I had one of the guys try to sell me my tie. I then had somebody else. Then we went out and we had formed in groups and selling patio furniture, stuff like that. And their reaction is, this is different. You know, I got no PowerPoints there, I got no slides, and I got a few handouts and stuff like that, but we're doing stuff.
Right.
And I think they found that, and I think another thing that is important to this too is they had to know I cared about them.
Yes.
And I think they knew I really cared about them.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of response did you ultimately get after it went on for a while?
They were very positive on it. They wanted me to come back and start doing this on a regular, ongoing basis. I think that I really truly believe I made a real contribution to several of them.
Do you think that now that they have understood what the sales process is all about and what sales and marketing is all about, would you think that they would have more of an attitude, hey, I can go do that in the real world?
That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
Whole idea was that you can go out and you can sell starting today. You know enough in this 12-hour, 2-day boot camp that you are in a position to go face-to-face in a selling situation and actually be successful at it.
Right.
And hopefully you'll keep learning.
Right, right. And what is your recommendation to entrepreneurs or salespeople to constantly refine their sales skills? What would you recommend to them?
I think keep reading.
Yeah.
I think you read some of the good business books, and I think really a lot of the great ideas and improving yourself are in literature. Go and read some of the more traditional literature.
Like what?
The core of my professional selling course is Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, which I think is arguably the greatest book that was ever written. I read that book the year I started my own business, when I had a lot of spare time in my hands. And I was sitting in my backyard in the shade under a tree and reading this thing, and I just said to myself, son of a gun, I wish I had read this when it came out in print, when I was basically and I think about the 8th grade at the time, because it would have changed so much of my life and helped me in understanding what the world is like, what people are like, and how to be a person that creates value and focuses on value and being an achievement-oriented person.
Yeah. You make your students read it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
we give them 5 weeks. We get 5 weeks. 30 pages a day for 5 weeks.
Yeah. And what kind of response do you get from today's young people reading that book?
I got a class, generally 42 students. I would say the book will make a real impression on 5 or 6 of them, which is, I think, a pretty good response. Mm-hmm. And I think even of the rest, they get something out of it. But that comes down to that 20% again. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And at the end of a semester, I may be looking at saying, I made a real difference to 20 people. That's a pretty good achievement.
Pretty good batting average.
But I've had students will write me back and email me back 20 years later talking about Ayn Rand and what it did for them in their life and what a difference it made to them.
Mm. What are some of the other books you recommend?
I think in terms of selling books, I think Roger Dawson's The power of negotiation is extremely powerful. I think that in the area of sales management, I love Seth Godin in his book Tribes, and Hugh MacLeod for Evil Plans, which are kind of on building leadership and putting a team together, which leads to the ultimate, consummate book on leadership, The Caine Mutiny, which is a classic book on really what leadership is all about. And those books are in my classes. It's the kind of classic leadership books that we get to.
And you have your students partake in that and weave into your curriculum.
Oh yes, it's part of the required curriculum.
Okay.
That's part of what we do, and we have a lot of discussions on it and really get into it because those are the essence of it. And I can sit here and lecture about leadership all I want all day long. You read The Caine Mutiny, I think you've got a pretty good idea what good leadership is all about and how you develop it as a person.
Give me 2 or 3 just bullet points on what makes a great leader.
I think a leader is someone who stands for something. You're leading them to somewhere. So where is it you're leading them to? It's got to become, that person's going to ask you, what's in it for me? Not directly, but they're going to ask that. So what you are as a leader is you help them attain fulfillment in their lives by leading them to something that you stand for, whatever that may happen to be. But you make it so that this is something that is terribly important to them for their reasons. And so the leader, it's almost like it's selling too. The leader is focused upon their people and cares about them.
What's the difference between a leader and a manager?
A manager checks boxes. That's really an administrator that I call it, because a manager could be a leader, but an administrator just checks boxes and does forms.
That's right.
But a manager may well be a leader.
Right.
Or a manager may be someone who just sort of goes along and does the work day to day, and the employees aren't excited. They're not fired up.
Right.
But what a leader does, as a manager perhaps, gets the employees so they can't wait to get to work every day.
Yeah. If you were a young person today, or never mind you or me being a young person today, what advice do you give young people today? If you were going to go out and start your career, what would you do? Or what would you tell them to do?
Well, first of all, you have no idea where you're going to be in 4 or 5 years out of college. It's going to be about 4 or 5 years out, you'll begin to figure out what you want to do. So my advice to them is put yourself around the kinds of people you'd like to spend your day with. That would be the thing. So I hear students saying that, oh, I'd like to be a pharmaceutical sales rep. To which my response is, okay, you're going to spend your day then sitting in a doctor's office around some old sick people. Is that your idea of how you want to spend your day? It's not my idea how I want to spend my day. You don't see me hanging out at Ansley Senior Center, that's for sure. So when they think about this, no, I don't really want to do that. And I get them talk with the kind of people they'd want to be around. I want to be around people that are real people that work for a living. Then maybe you want to be a vendor that goes to Home Depot and also then does independent work with contractors. So you're going to be around the kinds of people that you like being around. Work hard, let it develop. It'll work out, but you can't script it.
Yeah. But be open-minded and listen, right? Listen to yourself.
All the time. And listen to yourself and be kind of wondering, am I doing this for my own good reasons? Do I really want to be doing this? Or is someone else telling me this is what I ought to be doing with my life?
Right.
Oh, you ought to be a doctor. Well, do you want to be a doctor?
Right.
And all that. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. You've been obviously a big proponent of education and provided an awful lot of money to the University of West Florida for scholarships. Why?
I think this comes down to having a purpose in my life as well. We're at the University of West Florida. We are very big on service and caring about the students and doing what we do. And what I have tried to do with my scholarship programs here is to, first of all, honor my mom and dad, honor your mother and father. I read that someplace.
Yeah.
But and to be able to do that and give scholarship awards that are based on merit. They're based on achievement. So it's the high achievers as measured by grade point average. And by doing that, I'm giving those people who have achieved an award they have earned. And that's how I approach that thing.
Right. And that really comes back down to the basics of what sales is all about, right?
Everything's earning it.
Yeah.
This is what Ayn Rand's thinking is on this. And it is having a purpose in your life. I don't go to work so I got to grind out my classes today. I go to work because I'm going to encounter some people today. I'm going to encounter some colleagues that I work for, I have respect for. I have some students that I can make a difference to. Right. And I think this is the thing I found so interesting at the University of West Florida is my colleagues there care about other people. And they really care about working with the students. And it was very interesting because I had someone say to me, in fact, it was my barber, as a matter of fact, made the comment to me about, I bet there's some days that you just get up and you just don't really feel like going to work. And I thought, no, I've never had a day like that.
Really?
I've never had a day that I didn't feel that I was excited to be going in there and saying, wow, what am I going to do today? But I'm doing something that is of value. And it makes a difference to other people, and that's what makes something worthwhile. And having a purpose in your life, whatever your purpose is, doesn't make a difference what it is, but a purpose that's focused on something to do with others.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And what an interesting conversation. What's in your future? Are you going to continue Bob's sales camps, I'm assuming?
I'm going to work real hard for another 11 years. Until I'm 85, I am not going to make the mistake of being like some of these ball players that go too long. And then at that point, I am going to totally retire at 85. And I am going to spend my days, essentially, I'm going to do a lot of reading. I'm going to sit out on my porch, and I'm going to watch the sky and the trees and just be at peace.
Good for you. Good for you. Advice. We talked about some advice for kids, but give me some advice for people who are established in their career.
I think the thing that I would say to you is to take a realistic assessment and say, are you doing what you really want to do? Do you love doing what you want to do? If not, what would you be doing right now? And go do it.
Yeah. It's never too late, is it?
Not at all too late. I mean, take a look at yourself and say, would you like to get out and would you like to lose 20 pounds? Well, okay, let's lose a pound in the next 2 weeks.
Right. Absolutely.
What are you going to do?
Dr. Bob Kimball, what a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, sir.
I've enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I've heard a lot about you over the years.
Great.
And congratulations, and certainly kudos to you for all you've done in the community and helping many young people get a good education.
Appreciate it.
Dr. Bob Kimball, professor at the University of West Florida. By the way, you can see more of our conversations online at WSRE.org/conversations. We're also flying around YouTube and Facebook. I'm Jeff Weeks. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Take wonderful care of yourself, and we'll see you soon.
Support for this program is provided in part by Gulf Power, a Southern company, and by viewers like you. Thank you.